I guess you love movies. I do too. Hi guys, and welcome back to another movie review. And today we're going to be talking about Justice League, starring Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and Ezra Miller, and many, many others. This is the first Justice League movie we've ever got. Obviously, I've been definitely a critic of the recent Justice League, the recent DC films. Wonder Woman brought us back to good. You know, we had a good film in Wonder Woman, and I said that if I enjoyed Wonder Woman, I would come and see this movie, and, well, I am sitting here reviewing it for you today. Obviously, I hated both Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad. Liked Wonder Woman, so I have a mixed sort of feeling on the Justice League films. Not the Justice League films, the DC films so far. Batman vs. Man of Steel, another film that I wasn't massively high on. I thought it was okay. I hadn't seen it for a long time, so going into this movie I had mixed expectations. The reviews were quite mixed to negative, and overall I have a mixed feeling about this movie. So I'll give you the positives first. The positives, mainly, the main positive of this film is that the lead performances by all of the main Justice League members are really good. I really enjoyed Ben Affleck in this film. He was definitely the shining light in Batman vs Superman, and he's definitely really good again as Batman and Bruce Wayne in this movie. I think he gets a lot of unfair flack for the failure of these films at the box office and critically, but I really think that he's one of the best things about them, and I think it's really unfair to point the blame at him. And I think he's really good again in this movie. Gal Gadot is, of course, brilliant as Wonder Woman. Probably the best casting decision that the DC EU has ever made. I think she's absolutely perfect in this role. I couldn't imagine anybody else doing it. I think Jason Momoa gives a really good performance as Aquaman. He brings something really different to the table, and I think his charisma and likability throughout this film is very, very important to the movie. He has some of the best scenes in the movie, in fact. I like Ezra Miller in the movie, kind of that geeky sensibility to him, his sort of fish out of water style, and I really enjoyed his performance as the Flash. So overall the performances are really solid. I also enjoyed some of the jokes and some of the interaction between the characters in the Justice League. It was very entertaining. You can definitely see that Joss Whedon has had a hand in this film. Obviously, Zack Snyder originally and is on the credits as the director. However, after his daughter's suicide, he stepped away from the project, and Joss Whedon's done some reshoots and rewrites on this movie, and you can definitely see Joss Whedon's impact on the film, and it definitely feels a bit more like an Avengers movie than other movies directed by Zack Snyder. So I also really enjoyed some of the conflicts within the Justice League when they happened, sort of moral conflicts, and how some of the Justice League sort of holding on to people they've lost and through guilt. And I enjoyed those conversations between Batman and Wonder Woman, but there wasn't really enough of them for me. Sometimes there could have been jokes that could have been taken out, and I think it would have probably been a bit better if there was a little bit more conflict than jokes, even though I think that I enjoyed the jokes and the conflict. I would have liked a little bit more of the latter. Now, that is the positives to this movie, and there are definitely quite a few negatives. The main negative for me is the first 45 minutes to an hour. The movie is trying to set up all of these characters and all of the Justice League, including other supporting character situations from Batman vs Superman. So you've got Wonder Woman's situation, you've got Batman's situation, you've got Lois Lane, how she's dealing with the death of Clark Kent. You've got set up Aquaman, you've got to set up the Flash, you've got to set up Cyborg, you've got to show this city that's going to get destroyed later on in the movie, and this random family that's there. You've got to talk about Jim Gordon and his situation and everything, and this movie just feels so goddamn jammed. It's unbelievable how choppy it feels in the first 45 minutes in this movie. It just feels like they're just cutting so much. You get scenes that are about 30 seconds long and they're just cutting back and forth constantly. It's really disorientating to watch. There's a scene with Jim Gordon, I swear that it's about 30 seconds long. It's so short. There are so many scenes in those first few minutes. And there's a lot of exposition because we have to set up all of these things. There's a scene with Wonder Woman and Batman walking along the side of a river, and Wonder Woman just explaining everything about Steppenwolf. He's literally just like every single piece of detail you could imagine about Steppenwolf. She just literally just blurts it all out in this massive exposition dump. and it's so incredibly forced. It really doesn't work for me. I think Steppenwolf as a villain is another thing that doesn't work for me. And I understand in the comics he's this world-destroying, conqueror of worlds and stuff. He's like Galactus from the Marvel comics. He's very similar to that sort of character. But the problem is that he has absolutely no character. The guy is just a big CGI monster that wants to destroy everything, and we've seen it a million times before. He's completely soulless, and I just don't care about him. I just don't care at all, and he's a worthless villain in this movie, and I really couldn't care less. Every single time he comes on screen, it's like I'm watching a video game cutscene. It just doesn't work for me at all. Even though there are some good action scenes in this movie, sort of the lower scale ones, I really didn't like the finale of this film. I thought it was big, bloated CGI finale that, again, just like Steppenwolf, felt like a big video game cutscene. It just didn't work for me. And I thought the fact that they focused on one family didn't really work, because you had very little time with them anyway. You probably had about 2-3 minutes screen time with them previously while they were setting up a million other characters. And really you didn't care about them too much, and it probably would have been a lot better if they'd have just shown a vast amount of people, because then you could have seen the scale of the carnage instead of just showing this small little family. It kind of makes it seem like the entire area is like completely deserted other than this family, and you don't really get the sense of scale that would help this type of sequence. And my last issue with this film really is the way that they use Cyborg in this movie. You can tell I've talked about every single other Justice League character other than Cyborg. I just don't think they use him very well. This character has no characterization at all. It really doesn't work, because even though the actor, whose name escapes me, is giving a decent performance, he's got so few backstory, and it's glossed over so quickly, and he has so little characterization. And in the Justice League, he is simply a plot device so that they can connect to alien technology. He has no other purpose throughout the film, and it really annoyed me. I just felt that he was misused. So, overall, the Justice League film is a bit of a mess. And you can be entertained by it and enjoy it in moments, and it does have its moments, and it is very good in moments, but there are other quite large passages throughout the film where it's just a complete mess. And to be honest, it's quite a disposable film. I'm never going to watch it again. It doesn't really impact you in any way. You've seen a lot of these things done and done better before. Overall, the Justice League isn't a bad movie. It has its positives. I really enjoy all the leads. They're all charismatic and entertaining. It has some decent action sequences, and I quite like some of the jokes and touches that have been put in quite obviously by Joss Whedon in this movie. I like some of the conflict between the characters, but the villain in this movie is very poor. The first half/act of the movie, first 45 minutes, is a complete mess, and I think that the finale is very, very overused CGI. It definitely feels quite bloated. So, a very mixed review of Justice League from me, and I'm going to give it 6.5 out of 10. So there you go, that's my review of Justice League. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, drop your comments down in the section below. Have you seen the movie yet? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you could follow me on Twitter and Instagram, the links are down in the description. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.